I've got a good video for you, because this is probably going to be one of the most valuable videos I can make, because you're going to see the money side of it, so you can kind of compare and contrast. Remember, this is London. Day rates are, for a labourer, is 200 quid a day. It just is, and that's for a good and a bad labourer. And also, you've got to take into account materials are up there right now, so you've got to bear that in mind a little bit when I start talking about the prices. But yeah, the most important thing is we decided to go with a cowboy builder that we had never used before. Now you're probably hearing that and going, you chose to go with a cowboy builder. Thing is, and I do want to precursor this, out of 1,000 builders, 1,000, there will be one cowboy builder. Do not use this example and paint every builder with this brush. It's 1 in 1,000. Yeah, please do bear that in mind. A lot of builders are honest, hardworking people, and they just want to turn up, do a good job, go home. So, where do I begin? Well, 15, 16, 17 quotes we got. Yeah, that's a mad number of quotes, but this is the first project I've done in London, and none of the labourers, none of the roofers, the chippies, the plumbers, the electricians that I know outside of London, they're not going to commute into London, have all of those hours on their day, then pay for the parking around here. It just didn't make sense. So basically, I'm starting from pretty much the same point as you if you've never done any developing, renovation projects, anything. This is probably going to be the most helpful example you can see, because you're going to follow the exact process in which getting this part of the extension and the loft conversion to this stage. You can really see how it works out. So where do you start with all of this? Well, you need to weigh up a couple of things. Do you want a builder who's going to come in, start to finish, the entire job is done? You don't even need to think about your project. In the other hand, you've got you become the builder, as in you're project managing the whole thing. You are the quantity surveyor, getting all the materials on site, the EPDM, the lead, the wood, everything. You find chippies, you get them on site, you tell them everything you need them to do. You can quote for them to supply the materials, but the thing that happens in all businesses is there's markups on markups on markups. What do I mean by that? That means that they will be probably, for every piece of wood you buy, they're going to put their own little profit on that. For then every nail they use, they're going to put a little profit on that. It's going to be like that sort of mindset when you start subbing out them providing the materials as well. I didn't have the option to do all the work myself, so I had to get in either a builder to come do start to finish the whole thing, or I then took on a role of like project management, where I sub out every single job. So I get the chippy in, the roofers, the labourers to remove the roof, all of that. I'm the quantity surveyor then, and I'm providing all the materials, doing all the orders, so the materials are on site when they're needed, telling the workers everything you need them to do. Okay, so that's option A. Option B is you get a builder in who does everything for you. I can just be getting on with my work, and this builder's taking care of everything. What does that mean? That means that person is basically doing exactly that role that I'd be doing, except for they're then obviously being paid to do that role. So they're making profit and you're paying for their time. So in my mind, the best thing you can do is try and remove that builder, and you then take on their role and you straight away make that profit. However, that amount of money you gain is going to come with a lot of work, like a lot of time, energy, emotions, the whole thing. So because of the previous project we did, where that was what we did, we only got plasterers, electricians, and that's it. The rest was my brother and myself. We thought, actually, because of what's going on right now, we want to get someone in to do it. So we started getting quotes. How do you find builders? I kind of walked around my local area and started just chatting to builders, because you see them, they've got their sign up. You can see if they're actually working, and if it's in this local area, I can see if, oh, that week there was no one on site. So they've got multiple jobs going on, and that's how they're operating. It's where they do like 2 weeks on that job, move to 2 weeks on that one, 2 weeks to the next, and that's how they get their cash flow and sustain their business. And I didn't want that, because time is everything for me. I wanted this to be start and finished as soon as possible. So I walked around, I got a couple quotes from builders that way, and these quotes varied massively. And this is why you get quotes. We got 15 or 16 quotes, okay? How else did we find these builders to get quotes from? Google. I try and find the worst websites possible. If someone's got the money to be spending on a nice website, and you can see that their team of people in their office that's in Fulham has 55 people, well, you bet they're charging a lot of money for the work they do to provide the cash flow that can afford that. So I try and find builders who have maybe 3 employees, maybe less than that. And in terms of prices, just for the ground floor extension, from demolishing the conservatory to just basically a builder's finish weatherproof shell of that. So the skylights are in. I think the plasterboard was in, but none of the sockets would be in. None of the kitchen would be done or anything. One company quoted £450,000. I mean, fair play for trying it. Someone will pay it in London. They just will. But it's not going to be me, because that is insane. Like, I hear people at work, they're like, oh yeah, I've just had a 3x2 metre side extension and it was 110 grand. And I'm like, the profit margin they have made on you is insane. And I couldn't live with myself paying that amount. So the quotes then started changing, because when you get quotes in, you can start evaluating them and then seeing how you want to progress. So far, we've covered Google, walking around your local area, getting recommendations from people you know, and then we start getting into the more unique ways of finding builders. So we've got going to get your hair cut, because hairdressers know every single person in the local community, just like bartenders or whatever, they know everyone. So ask them if they can recommend a builder or whatever. And it's actually interesting, because I quite enjoy trying to figure out how people work and stuff, and how, without getting too deep, just like how brains work. And I asked the person who was cutting my hair if they knew any, and he was really like vague, and he said, yeah, I know one, but no, I don't know this, whatever. Anyway, he got my hair cut. It was 15 quid. So I gave him 20 quid and said, oh, you can keep the 5. And as soon as I did that, he then felt like he owed me something, and then he suddenly gave me a list of like 5 builders he knows of. And I just find that interesting, is because I just don't think you get anything in the world for nothing. And because I paid him, he felt like he owed me, so he actually put more effort into thinking about it. I just thought that was quite interesting. But got those people round. They didn't feel comfortable taking on a project like this, which is fair. So then we started going on your normal websites on Google to find builders. So then you got your next option, which is Gumtree. Now, that might seem like a weird place to find builders on. It's not. It's kind of like Craigslist in America. You can just put jobs on Gumtree, and often that's where you find roofers, if you're subbing out particular jobs, which is the route we basically go down. Is like, we can't get a builder, and the numbers are just ridiculous. I remember that 450,000 was just for the extension that's downstairs. Like, that's just insane. The other quotes were 250,000, and then now we're getting into the really bizarre stuff. Just for, these are weatherproof shelves. Like, you're going to see it in a minute when I walk around. What that means, it means it's not finished. It's like the construction element is done, but you're going to see it's not finished. It's a weatherproof shell for a builder's finish. And so getting quotes like 160,000, 200,000, I was just like, this is insane. And then when I start talking to friends outside of London, they're like, I don't understand who's paying this much. And obviously I know London is London and high paying jobs, all of that, but I would just feel sick if I paid that amount. So then we went through that list of 16 quotes, and we started finding through Gumtree more real builders, what I like to call them, not ones turning up in suits. They don't have an office, they're just your real proper builders. And as an example, these quotes started coming. This is now we had just removed the extension from it, because we were like, we can handle that, and these prices are insane for the work that needs to go there. So I'm going to dig the footings, I'm going to source the brickies, I'm going to get the roofer to do it, I'm going to put the steels in, I'm going to deconstruct it, prop the whole house off, all of that. We'd removed that, so now we're just talking about the main loft and the pod loft. Remember, this is for a terraced house in London, it's a pretty big loft. It's adding about, think internal for both of them, it's like 40-50 square meters it's going to be adding. So that's quite a considerable footprint. And it's going to get our house to around the 200 square meter mark, which is going to be the biggest house on the road. Bear that in mind when you start hearing these prices and everything. And remember, timber cost, all this is all sky high at the moment. So all of that plays a part. Then we started getting quotes just for the loft to a builder's finish, 90,000, 80,000, not including materials. The cheapest quote we got was 70,000 including materials. And we were just like, I'm just going to have to book 2 weeks off holiday, get people out of London to come in because this is insane. And then we came across this person on Gumtree who came in and said 25,000. And we were like, that's the person we want, because they are a cowboy builder. He's lowballing. He's going to get his foot in the door. And then when he's through the door, he is going to lift the price and squeeze you for everything you've got. But the thing is my brother and me are like Steve Irwin when it comes to recognizing when people are snakes. And this person, just from the moment we met him, we were like, you are an utter weasel. You are a cowboy builder through and through. I despise you, but thank you for coming and quoting to this, because you are going to think that you're going to have one over on us the whole way through this build. But in reality, we know exactly what you're up to, and we're going to preempt your snakiness throughout the whole thing. And it's something that I'm really proud of, is that I'm really good at reading people. And you're going to see what happens, and this is going to save you not 10,000, more like 50 or 100,000 your own renovation project. These are really key things. So he quoted for it, he shook our hand, we wrote up a little contract, and it also became quite annoying because we could see exactly what he was doing, and he thought he was like being smarter than us. It made it so annoying, and I can't explain how angry my brother and I were throughout the whole of this process, because every step he did, we already knew he was going to do it. And it's just so annoying when people do exactly what you think they're going to do, because you're like, come on, can't someone for once be honest and just do as they say they're going to do and not try and be a snake? So let's get into it. What happened? Well, straight off the bat, I need chippies were there the next day. Oh, labourers to remove the roof. They were there straight away. And we were like, okay, it's all starting well. Why is it starting well? He's got only a fraction of the amount of money he would be getting at the end of the job. So he's like, okay, these people they clearly know what they're doing. He saw us digging the footings. He knew that he had to buy his time before he started being a snake. So remember what I said in the previous video? You always keep something in it, because if you paid someone for the job all up front, where is their incentive to come and work on your property? You just paid them for the work they haven't even done yet. Where's their motive? Yes, morally, they should probably do a good job still, but people act bizarre, okay? So we paid him $5,000. That then got the materials on site. That paid for the labourers to strip it. Then we transferred another $5,000. And so you're breaking it up in little installments. So you're always in control. You are the money. I've sometimes got the impression with some people where they kind of cower to builders. I find it really weird. They kind of cower to it and think that that person's in control, but you are the money. They are the employee to you. You are in control. So 10,000 is left. The chippies are getting on. It's going okay. Like I said, we knew he was a snake. That's why we went with him. But I did not expect how bad a cowboy he was, because he was an idiot. Like, he could talk the talk and everything, but when it came down to it, he was an idiot. And it's been a few weeks now since this all happened. But my brother and me were so angry with just like the level this person got to, where my brother's girlfriend works from home in her office, which is like the living room right now. One of the labourers walked into her office, put down a list of all the materials that were needed and said, oh, do you mind go driving to Selco or Wix? We need all of this. And she was like, shouldn't, let's just call him cowboy builder Tony. She was like, shouldn't Tony be going and getting this for you? And he goes, oh, he's not picking up his phone, but we need all of this stuff. And she was like, I can't because I don't have a van. And they were like, well, there's nothing really to do without Tony. And so that night, Tony then started missing all of our calls. And we were like, okay, this is where it's starting. The cowboy element's coming out. He's got about, at this point, it was like 18,000. And this is a tactic some cowboys do. It's very bizarre because some people don't experience any of this stuff or ever think about it or get themselves into the situations where they deal with it. But it's a tactic where he's trying to get some of the cost of the project onto someone else's card. So he tried getting us to go get the materials. But the thing is the labourers were still on site and we want to get the project done as quickly as possible. So at 8 p.m. for a period of, I'd say, 8 days, every evening, we would go to all the builders merchants, we would get all the materials, all the EPDM, all the slates, everything. We were the ones going to get it, and it was so annoying. However, this person literally didn't do anything. Like, I'd be at work and the chippies would call me and ask questions about where the air vents are going. They wanted to know about the air track system we're using. They wanted to know where the skylights are going. Even though they had all the stuff, it was honestly very bizarre, and you almost felt a bit annoyed that we were paying someone to project manage, and then we were project managing ourselves. That was the other option, remember I was saying? Project managing it yourself. That's essentially what ended up happening. We were being the quantity surveyor, as in getting all the materials in. We were being the project manager because we were telling the chippies, the roofers, exactly what they need to do. Like I said, the way he deserves his profit was we used him for his contacts. We got the labourers that would have taken us maybe a week to find labourers. And then there's also a risk that those labourers could be crap. And this person, he clearly had been doing this. Like, we'd seen evidence of his other jobs, and they looked fine. This isn't a proper like how to find a builder video. We'll get into that more in a separate video. But in this one, I'm just showing you like the exact experience that's happened, and hopefully you can take away some stuff from this. So yeah, he's now shown his cards. He's shown he's useless, and then on a Friday, no labourers turned up. We called up, what do I call him? Tony. Cowboy builder Tony. I said, oh yeah, where's the labourers? They're not here today, because I think my brother was working from home that day. And he goes, oh, I'm not sure where they are. Little does he know that we, throughout the week, if there was a day we would be working from home, we became quite chatty with the labourers. We chatted about it, and I'd said, Terry's not a very good project manager, is he? And he goes, no, he just ignores all my calls. And so we're like, oh, can I have your number in case I need you for another job? The labourers were all like, yeah, sure, because they want work. And they'd never worked with Terry before. So we collected all of their numbers, and the day that they stopped turning up and Terry was saying, oh, I don't know where they are, we just called them up and we said, yeah, why aren't you here today? And they said, oh, Terry's told us not to turn up. There's no money left in the job, so he can't pay us. And we went, that's BS. He's got X amount. That's your pay. Turn up today, please. If he doesn't start paying you, we will. Which obviously Terry absolutely loved that happening. And the thing is I can say I'm angry and annoyed at people, but in the moment when I'm with these people, you're completely calm, because anger, emotions, you calm yourself down way before you go into these situations, because it doesn't help anything. So yeah, my brother and me can be going, I hate how snaky people are, and you shouldn't operate a business this, but it doesn't help if you say any of that in a conversation. We then spoke to him and he was like, oh yeah, I told them not to turn up because there's no money left in it. And we said, well, the materials have been X because all the delivery notes have been there, and all the money we've spent, we know exactly how much it's cost because we'd worked that all out prior. And yeah, he was basically started asking for more money, and we were like, no, not having more money. You quoted it for this. He had got the labourers in. He had done about half of the quantity surveying. However, he did none of the project managing. None. Because all the labourers were calling my brother and me. If we were working from home, they'd knock on the office door like 5 times in a day. He's saying, where do I put these vents? Where do I do this? X, Y, and Z. And we wanted to keep him happy. So we said, look, how much more do you need? And I promise you, if we hadn't been the way we had, where he clearly knew, we knew, and if we had shown anger or anything like that, it could have ended in a very different way. A story I've heard of is one cowboy builder who the person figured out what he was doing. They had a massive argument. Underfloor heating went in. 5 months later, huge water damage in that person's house. When they took up the concrete, looked at the underfloor heating, and it was like a water system for the underfloor heating. Every foot had a pickaxe mark in all the pipes, and this cowboy builder obviously had gone there when no one was there, just before the concrete got poured, and poked holes in all the underfloor heating so a leak would happen after he had left the job. Like, that's just crazy, and yeah, it is disappointing with people like this. So at the point that we then started calling the labourers and getting them back on site, he then came round and had a conversation where it kind of went along the lines of, oh, there's not enough money in it, so pay me X amount more. And like I said, if this was someone down the road, they would probably be out of pocket, I don't even know, 20 grand, 30 grand. But because he clearly, just from some of the stuff we said to him, saying like, this is how much the material costs have been, this is your profit margin, you haven't project managed. We've been going and being essentially the quantity surveyors, getting all the materials, working out what's needed for the next day for the labourers. It ended up being a situation where there was no big argument, it's not dramatic, it was just this really amazing feeling when he just knew, like you could just see it, he knew that he couldn't fool us. And like I said, if this was someone down the road, they'd be out of pocket another 30 grand. He's a typical cowboy builder, comes in at a low price, gets into your house, and then lifts the price. At that point where we knew this guy gave up, there was still stuff that needed to be done. And because we had numbers of the labourers, we then just called them up and said, do you want to come finish the job? Our rate is 200 quid a day. They turned up and just continued as normal. And actually, I do want to just share this with you. At the end of it, when it came to paying the labourers, for the final instalment we owed them, they came to us and were like, oh, you owe us 1,800 quid for the remaining amount of money for their labour. Remember, 200 quid a day per person. Now, I'd worked out how much I owed them because I've got a spreadsheet. I'm working out constantly because I just don't trust people. And as you can probably see why. And I'd worked out as it was £2,800, not £1,800. Now, in that moment, I could have gone, yeah, cool, 1,800, and I just pocketed a grand. But that's not right. They turned up those days. I owed them for that amount of money, so I paid them. I said, I think you're a little bit off there. I've worked out and it should be 2,800. He was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And then so I showed him the sheet and he went, oh yeah, I completely forgot that we had 2 people on those days. Oh yeah, that's my bad completely. So yeah, 2,800. I mean, you'd be stupid if he argued it. I was going to pay him a grand more. They did an all right job. There's some bits that I'm going to show you that are just bad, and bad to the point that we just said, yeah, stop. My brother and me will finish this part. Like, for example, the upstands to go around the skylights. There's not a chance I'm letting them install that. I'll do that myself because they'll probably drop the skylight, and that's like 300 quid each one. So there's a few things, and remember, building inspector is signing off everything. So don't get in the comments being like, that's not right. If it's not right, my brother and me are fixing it, and the building inspector's coming and signs everything off. So don't worry about that. So yeah, not only is it the right thing to do, pay that person the right amount of money, they also now feel like they owe me something because I've done them a favour. They made a mistake, I corrected it for them, and I've paid them what they should be being paid. Going back to what I was saying, that people don't do anything for nothing, I then used that as an opportunity and said, well, because I've just saved you, because of that, you better give me a really good price when I get you to quote for the ground floor extension. He was like, yeah, I will, for sure. This was my clean coat. Everything becomes just dirty if you live in a building site. But yeah, I'm gonna walk around the house now, show you all the bad bits, all the good bits, and at the end, I'm gonna tell you the exact final cost of all of this. Here we go. So this is the pod room. As you can see, this is a builder's finish, a weatherproof shell. It's just the bare bones of a loft. Now I'll see what needs to happen. Now, my brother and I are gonna do is the boarding, the insulation, and start building out the rooms. This is obviously where the window's gonna go. Look how awful that lead work is there. I just need to take a moment to show you. They've literally just smashed it all on with a hammer. So I will be taking that off and doing nicer lead work myself. So I'm gonna have to fix that. I didn't want them to finish doing the EPDM on the roof, so I'm gonna finish doing that, all the guttering. I'll show you down there. You can see that's that wall that I had to build up. That's all now covered. Remember, like I said, if you see anything wrong, I'm going to fix it. And you can see down there how the rule is that with the pod extension, it's got to be shifted in load bearing on the inner skin of the wall. The building inspector did come around yesterday and he pointed out a few things that needed rectifying, but the rest of it he was really happy with, like where all the vents are, and obviously this is where the Juliet balcony's going, which is going to bring loads of natural light in. These are the skylights, which I don't think I've shown you before. We've got 2 of them, triple glazed, 300 quid each. If you want to see where I get them from, that is the company. I get everything off eBay because it's just so much cheaper. These are about 300 quid each. This is that skylight I was on about, so I just need to build the upstands, do all the weatherproofing, and then install one of these up there. And then If I go over here, you can see that is where the second skylight is, which is going above the ensuite. Also, I had to clean up because the conditions the roofers were working in was disgusting. Having said that, Skip is arriving soon. So this is walking on the roof now. You can see that is the lead work covering the chimney. The lead work covering there. I need to rectify their lead work because, as you can see, when it comes to roofs, you need to pretend you are a piece of water. And what do you think happens to water when it goes down the back of that massive gap where they haven't done proper lead flashing? It goes down the back of it, that water goes into your house. And that's how you get damp problems, and it damages the whole house essentially. I think that, you know, a roof, you might want it to be watertight. It's like even just stuff like this. That is the real colour. Okay, and yet they haven't taken it off when they installed it. I don't get how some people just don't think. It's really bizarre. So I need to rectify that. Need to finish the EPDM, like I said, the upstands, which come up like this, then dropping the skylight onto that. See, that's where the Juliet balcony's going. It's not the nicest lead work I've ever seen, so I think I'm gonna go and rectify it a little bit. And if I just jump up onto the roof, I'll show you the front. Okay, so now up onto the very top. So again, you need to think what happens with water coming down from the top of the chimney, running down here, going all down here, and then that is going to go straight back there into the roof, which is not what you want. So I need to do some sorting around here. The 1.2 meter skylights do look sick. And then you can see obviously all the reclaimed slates. Very dirty at the moment, but with rain and whatnot, it's going to look sweet. And you can see obviously the vent over there installed, the vent over there installed as well. And yeah, like I say, I just hit my head. Oh, good job. It's also my birthday today. That's mad. Year older. Quarter of my life's gone. So, how much did this cost? Why did you put yourself going through a cowboy builder? You knew he was a cowboy builder, Chris. Why did you use him? Well, the total cost for all of this, including the Veluxes, the skylights, the lot, came in at, I might be a couple of thousand out because I've had to add it up quickly in my head, 35,000 without the steels, because remember, I've done a separate video on that where we put the steels in. So if you want to see how much the steels cost, go watch that video and how that all went about installing them. So how do I feel? But in terms of to this stage, I'm chuffed. I'm so happy. That's £35,000 versus 60, 70,000 for the cheapest. Mad. So yeah, next video is going to be the steels in the extension, installing that, taking down the walls. That saved me around £10,000, and I'm going to show you the whole process on that. And yeah, it's getting exciting now. The construction phase, where you're actually creating the spaces, is almost finished once the roof is on downstairs. Now it's kind of like the renovating stage and like the fitting out the rooms and the restoring of it. So yeah, gonna get super interesting. So if you are new, please subscribe, like the video. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. So yeah, I will see you in the next video.